Narcissus and Echo. Yet whatever good will Aphrodite may have shown towards those that honored her, she was relentlessly severe with those who did not respect her and dared to scorn her powers. The handsome Narcissus suffered harsh punishment for treating her like this. Narcissus was a youth so dazzled by his own beauty that he thought his equal was not to be found in the whole wide world. Among gods and men alike, he was the only one in whose heart the arrows of Aphrodite's son could not find their mark and make him throb with love. Narcissus knew this and gloried in it, and treated the goddess with disdain. He believed he had no need of her, and for a very simple reason. Narcissus' admiration was reserved for himself and for nothing and nobody else. And yet the day came when Aphrodite's bolt pierced Narcissus to the heartstrings. But let us begin the tale from the beginning. Narcissus, the son of the sacred river Cephissus, was so handsome that when he went walking in the forest, as he liked to do, he would flatter the heart of every nymph and dryad that happened to cross his path. Narcissus will swell with pride of the impression he created. He never fell in love himself, of course. He merely wanted others to fall in love with him. And at each new conquest, he would glow with self-esteem. Such were his feelings when he saw that the nymph Echo had fallen in love with him, and he brushed her aside in a manner at once cruel and self-satisfied. Lovely though she was, Echo lacked the power of speech and could only repeat the last syllables of what she heard. She first set eyes on Narcissus as he was taking one of his usual walks through the forest, pausing at every other step to admire the spring in his place and the splendid way he held his body. Echo, however, had never seen such a proud and handsome youth. She was ashamed to meet his gaze, however, and quickly hid behind a bush. Narcissus, who would have seen her out of the corner of his eyes, shouted out in an abrupt tone of voice, "Who is hiding in the place where I am?" "I am," came back the nymph's frightened voices. "Where are you?" asked the young man, his voice softening. "Come here." "Here," says the nymph. But Narcissus could see nothing. "Come out," she cried. "I want to see you." "To see you," repeated the same voice, the line now. And with these words, Echo appeared, radiant with beauty, and ran towards the young man. But neither her beauty nor the love for him that shone in her eyes could touch Narcissus' heart. The evidence of his conquest was reward enough for him. "Get out of here," he shouted. "Do you think that I am for likes of you, you fool?" "Fool," repeated Echo, and ran away crying with shame and disappointment. Now, as goddess of love, Aphrodite could not let Narcissus go unpunished. Here is how she made him pay for his heartless. While Narcissus was walking in the forest soon after, he felt thirsty and wanted to drink some water. After searching for a while, he found a small pool. Its crystal clear waters were so well protected from the wind, and the spot was so peaceful that everything round its banks was reflected as in a mirror. As he bent to drink, Narcissus saw his own face in the water. At that moment, Eros fired a dart that struck him to the heart. Not knowing that face mirror in the water was his own, Narcissus was overwhelmed with love for what he saw. Never in all his life he had set eyes on such handsome face. Eros had followed his mother's instruction well. The youth who never known the meaning of love was now desperately infatuated with his own image. Narcissus gazed into the pool as if he could never be satisfied. After a while, he reached down towards the figure in the water and saw that it made the same gesture. Then he bent to kiss it. But as soon as lips touched the surface, they made shatter. Soon the ripples subsided, the handsome face appeared again, and once more he lowered his head in rapture to offer a kiss. Again the same thing happened. Time after time Narcissus was frustrated until at last he was plunged into despair. He refused to leave the lakeside, but knelt there without eating or drinking, thinking only of the figure in its waters. Whole days and nights went by, and still Narcissus had not moved. He was becoming weaker hour by hour. But the thought of abandoning that attainable face did not even cross his mind. Finally, however, as he sat gazing the reflection, he realized whose it was and cried out in despair, "Alas, the figure I see in the water is my own, and I shall never be able to touch it." But even now that he had learned the truth, he could not bring himself to leave, for the image held him even deeper in its thrall. And so Narcissus stayed by the pool without eating, without drinking, without thinking of anything but his own reflection. And there by the lakeside he died, his pale face mirrored in the quiet waters. Such was the punishment of the handsome Narcissus, whose fate was never to love anyone but himself. All the nymphs and dryads of the forest wept for the splendid youth, and Echo most of all. She sat by his side and cried until night fell and sleep overcame her. When she awoke, Narcissus was no more. In his place grew a fragrant flower. We call it Narcissus, and it is the flower of death for this reason. Grief-stricken, Echo wandered through the forest until she died of her sorrow. But her voice remained, and if you go into the woods and shout loudly, you will be able to hear it. It will always answer with your last